Hello, concerned parents and autistic children. 'Tis I, Daniel Profeta. Usually on this channel, we explore the weird and disturbing corners of the internet. But tonight, instead, we're going to be exploring the weird and disturbing corners of our minds. Because I have been perpetually depressed, anxious, and a bunch of other fun stuff for a long time now. And I think it's high time I found help. At least that's what I thought I should do before I started making this video, but I'm getting ahead of myself. It started with burnout, which is a state of exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. When you feel overwhelmed, drained, and unable to meet your own expectations of yourself, whether it's in regard to your job, your relationships, or just a general sense of having your soul be filled with garbage and your dopamine receptors being fried beyond any hope of repair. You see this countdown? That's how long I have till I'm broke. These were infused with angels' tears at one point, and now they're infused with my tears. The TikTok girls got to me. I have crystals now. As I started to realize there was a problem, in my desperation, I turned to my friends for help. And this is where I started seeing a pattern. About 70% of my friends who are my age or a little bit younger have professed to struggling with mental health issues before. All different types of mental health issues. That number seems staggering to me. According to the US Department of Health and Human Services, an estimated 49.5% of adolescents have had a mental health disorder at some point in their lives. My goal? To overcome the overwhelming feeling of exhaustion and frustration and regain my motivation. Documenting my inevitable success for future generations to stare at in awe and draw inspiration from. Let me hold for applause. I wasn't sure where to start, but I figured awareness of my problem was the first step. Now the second will be to find resources so I can create a game plan. For the purposes of this experiment, I will be referencing this beautiful little article from helpguide.org. This article detailed 4 different ways that I should be trying to fix my brain. So I'm going to spend a week on each one and figure out which works best. That's right. I'm not only going to be fixing my mental health problems, but also everyone else's in 1 month. Is it possible? Obviously. The first method of escaping the confines of burnout is to seek out connection and get help from other people. Generally speaking, I'd rather die than interact with other humans, but I guess I can make an exception. The stakes are simple. Either I talk to my friends or continue to sink into a stupor of mindful inactivity that erodes my well-being and ends with me not affording food. According to helpguide.org, I need to try and limit or cut contact with negative or neurotic people. I wonder if Kurt got the same advice. You see, I'm negative, so I have to kill myself. I made a valiant effort to talk to more people this week, but I just kind of ended up letting dozens of people vent to me, which was hopefully helpful for them, but does not exactly comfort me or help with this problem. This was just step 1, though, and we'll do anything to feel good again. Right? One of the major factors that contributes to generalized stress and depression is a lack of connection, motivation, and purpose. And many people, by necessity, find that purpose by engaging with our system of labor in exchange for profit, which can force you to kind of derive your entire sense of self-worth based on how much money you can generate. I kind of have to create stuff. It's like a monster that sits at the edge of my bed holding a torch to my brain. Art is weirdly the only way that I can honestly communicate pretty much anything. Generally speaking, I want to tell people what I think they want to hear. I avoid confrontation and care more about the needs of other people because they mean more. So when I express something in a truly uninhibited way, it is almost always through stories or songs that I write. For me specifically, there's the kind of weird issue of putting in, 20, 30 hours of work per project, like a video like this, and not knowing if anybody will even like it, if it'll even work, or if it'll amount to anything. The solution to this problem is simple. To demonstrate the solution, I've crafted a simple instructional video. And of course, the solution to unlocking your potential and escaping the perpetual sense of doom is to simply sell your soul to the devil. Many people want to become more creative individuals, be world famous, and make $1 billion in $2. But not everyone has what it takes. One needs to learn patience, discipline, and how to work a regular job because your dreams will never amount to anything. But there are some ways that you can become more creative. Hi, my name is Dylan Laurelus. but you can call me Brady. I've sold almost 80 albums of original, soul-crushingly personal indie music, and I have over 20 subscribers on YouTube. And I roll dice. As you can see, I'm something of a celebrity. The limelight isn't all fun and games, but I'm here to teach you the secrets to becoming a true creative. Step 1. Find your passion. There are many roads to seeking your fortune in art, and all jobs make a difference. You could learn to sing, write, or even dance. When I was a little boy, I knew right from the start that I wanted to roll dice, and I dedicated my life to mastering that skill. Always remember, passion leads to obsession, and obsession leads to possession. Step 2. Open your mind. People who aren't very creative often possess what some people consider to be good taste, and I want you to forget all about that. Just cast that aside and instead start digging deep. Learn to appreciate as many styles of creation as possible and search for unique inspiration. For example, I used to only roll 6-sided dice. Now I roll 38-sided dice. Step 3. Create your vision. Now that you've consumed copious amounts of media, it's time to consider crafting your own unique personal style. What stories do you want to tell? What value will your art bring to people? What characters, plots, chords, brushstrokes, pigeons, ideas, or whatever is right for you. Realize that you must master the art of dice rolling. Step 1. Understand the consequences. Sacrifices must be made. Otherwise, you will never amount to anything. Be prepared to give everything up in pursuit of the fleeting promise of a life that you made better for yourself, doing something you love. Realize you might never see daylight again. All the time that you spend rolling dice. Family, friends, peers, none of them will ever understand. All that remains is dice. Yes, there will be sacrifices. Step 5. Summon a demon. Now that you've come all this way, the final step is crucial. You will need a book of the damned, or at least a level 37 Mason to assist you. Then, just exchange your immortal soul for talent. My name was once Brady, and I couldn't roll dice, but the Dark Lord showed me the way. Now Brady is freed by dice, and eternal conquest is at his fingertips. Every day I wake up and wonder if I'm going about this the right way. There's so many artistic self-help gurus that try to turn this into a step-by-step process that anyone can do. But maybe everyone's process is different. Maybe what works for one person might not work for somebody else. And maybe I need to learn to stop worrying so much. Besides, the Dark Lord has my back now, and the world is mine for the taking. The dice speak to me. Every night before I go to sleep, I hear their voices, their screams, cries of ecstasy. They are mine. Oh, mine. Now you know how to unlock your creative potential. Thank you for watching. This is fun. This is fun. This is fantastic. You have to find enjoyment and value in your work. So I realized that my headspace was directly impacting the work I was doing. Funnily enough, the article goes on to say that the affected individuals should take extended time off from work if they feel overwhelmed. As though that's just something people can do on short notice for prolonged periods of time. Reminds me of the one Harvard guy telling people the secret to becoming rich is to just have money. Duh. Hey boss, I would like a month off to take time to work on my mental health. What? You know, I've been feeling really worn down, like there's no end in sight and work just keeps piling up. Existing in the state of there being no light at the end of the tunnel is making me want to legitimately kill myself. The light at the end of the tunnel is just a freight train coming my way. Ah, I see. Very well then. Really? Hold on just 1 second. Prep the creature. You're going to spend the next 70 years being slowly digested alive by the Sarlacc monster. No! Okay, now this one is slightly stupid, but that's only because of my insistence to do this in week-long increments. According to the website, the next step for me is to reevaluate my priorities. What is important to me, my hopes and dreams, my goals for the future, all that irrelevant stuff. It's kind of funny because this goes against what the last step said, but instead of focusing on work, we should turn our gaze to what makes life truly worth living. Why you haven't killed yourself yet. For me, it's the smell, when autumn leaves start to appear and the air turns chilly. The euphoria when I played my first real gig and people knew the lyrics to my songs. Hope that a new day could possibly be better or at least more interesting than the one that came before it. My goals are to find like-minded people. I want to get to a point where I can just make projects like this full time. I want my family to not have to fill back up empty bottles of soap with water so that the soap dilutes into the water and we can get it to last longer. I want to conquer the world and the hearts of millions. I want to play a show at a sold-out venue and have thousands of people singing my lyrics back at me. I want to write something that outlives me. I uploaded almost 2,000 videos to YouTube before finding this audience, and it's been like 5 years of constantly working at this. Yet through perseverance, I was able to get to this point. And more than anything, I want to be the perfect partner for the girl that took the bar and threw it so high that I think I'm ruined for anyone else ever. So, oh well. Next on the agenda, I'm supposed to focus on regularly moving my body and attempting to eat correctly. This is single-handedly going to be the most difficult thing I've ever had to do. Over the next week, I did half an hour of exercise a day while resting on Sunday. It consisted of mainly a bunch of beginner exercises I found online, just stuff that, I could kinda do, maybe, if I tried. And then light weightlifting. I can currently only afford one goddamn weight, so I kept switching back and forth between my hands. I also went on daily runs, and I would insert footage here to prove it, but I forgot to tape the footage during the week, so here's an insert of some random child running to prove I did it. Now, eating more healthy was a bit trickier because I quickly found out I had absolutely no idea how to do that. How was I supposed to know how basic nutrition works? I survive on ramen.
How was I supposed to know how to make dinner for myself?
Let me clarify here, this bit was based on changes I personally wanted to make in my own life. I'm not a nutritionist and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. But what I ended up going with was trying to minimize sugar intake, cutting out stuff like soda and coffee. I tried to get rid of caffeine too. I tried to eat a lot more protein and avoided heavily processed foods. Also did a bit of research on omega-3 fatty acids and tried to incorporate that into my daily intake as well. After finishing this week of experimentation, I think that there's something to be said about the way our culture right this second often views exercise as this intensive process that can be very daunting to people who are just starting out. And I've tried to do stuff like this before, and in the past I've felt stuck in this cycle of trying to get at least marginally stronger only to hurt myself or feel my body fall apart or be unable to function with minimal effort, and then I wouldn't be able to continue exercising and the progress I'd made would atrophy away. I struggled a lot with body dysmorphia growing up and still kind of do. However, this specific thing was driven by a desire to just be more active and to stimulate my brain in the correct direction, because if you didn't know, exercise increases your dopamine level. So I guess my takeaway is once you stop viewing exercise as something that has to be super intensive and heavily monitored, then it's far easier to just embrace a slightly more active lifestyle. Just stuff like going on a daily walk to clear my head has been incredibly useful to me. In a world which increasingly demands a still existence of mindless drudgery, remember to dance. And if you're paralyzed from the neck down, remember to blink off. After all of this, my head still wasn't quiet, and my motivation still wasn't anywhere to be found. I looked in the toilet, I looked in the toy chest, hell, I even looked in the basement where I store the bodies. So I turned to the next obvious step of my lifestyle change and started using hard drugs. Hello. I'm high on amphetamines right now, and I just completed 300 pages of work in one day. Okay, maybe I just need therapy.
In that moment, Daniel knew it was time to go to outside sources for help. However,
$200 an hour? That's just not affordable.
not affordable, Only if you're poor, dipshit.
That's why today's video is sponsored by BetterHelp. Wait a minute, you mean the company that preys on its users' mental health without a thought to the quality of their care or the credentials of the online therapists, not to mention also sharing private information with third parties? Yes, that's the exact company I'm thinking of. Since every YouTuber lately seems to be getting BetterHelp promotions, I thought that maybe I should try it. I was influenced, which never happens to me because I'm an influencer, not an influencee. Now here we have a little questionnaire that took me about 15 minutes to fill out. Damn, I have a lot of problems. Look at that, they added a little discount too because I'm unemployed. Jesus Christ. Fuck you, BetterHelp. Apparently I can't afford the privilege of having my data sold to Mark Zuckerberg. I actually didn't know this stuff about this service until doing the research for this video, and holy shit. This just further fits into my point that there really doesn't seem to be that much help to be found. I am fundamentally broken and unfixable. This next bit is important, so I'm going to need you to listen, and you're going to care. I'm a teenager who struggles with mental illness. And for the first time, despite the stigma around that concept, I'm publicly talking about it in a video. I've noticed significantly more than half of my peers also struggle with mental issues. Sometimes I can't get the help that I need or deserve. Most of the time I can't. Ultimately, the only thing that I can do is try to be the one to start the change. Therapy is incredibly useful, but there are many different kinds of therapy. What works for some people will not always work for others, and often the people who need the help the most just can't afford it. Therapists are people, and mental health is a lot more fickle and tricky than physical health is. Sometimes people can't possibly understand what it is that you personally are going through, or are unwilling to understand for various reasons. And the biggest mistake that I see people my age and older making is delaying their own healing in an attempt to accommodate the desires of other people. It's not always going to work, but I believe that there are many people I know, including myself, who could benefit from self-analysis or lifestyle changes that could, over time, significantly improve their well-being. Our culture has been rigged against you. Your attention has been monetized, and your sickness and your pain are considered commodities. Social media can wire you into this constant search for quick and easy dopamine hits. And in case you're not aware, dopamine is your body's way of rewarding you for doing things that you have to do, such as eating, sleeping, exercise, working, whatever. They are sapping your motivation and will to exist and luring you into many, many different forms of addiction. It's intentional, it's malicious, and on some base level, it's exactly what I want: to slip into stupor. And I'm rewarded for doing so. So I've lost before any battle has taken place. The last thing I need are more predatory services and products attempting to milk every last dollar from kids, their parents, and young adults to sell them some kind of fix for their brain. So instead, I wanted to see if I could challenge myself to try and pull myself out of this hole through intentionally expanding my awareness of what's wrong with me. How can I uncover my issues, develop healthy coping strategies, and just slowly but surely become the safest and most content version of myself possible? And if you want to try and join me, just follow along. For 1 week, exercise or just move around every day. Eat enough and drink water a lot more than you think is necessary. Connect with other human beings. And this is important. Try to unplug from social media and electronic devices for at least like 2 or 3 consecutive hours a day. If you do it at night, you'll probably even sleep better. Do this shit every day. In my experience, the first few days are by far the hardest, but at the end of the week, take inventory of how your body feels. Just view this whole process as a general detox. The awareness and building healthy coping mechanisms is much more difficult to do, and that's on a much more personal level for the individual. Just going into this experience with the intent to heal is enough. There was a proposal published in the Journal of Medical Ethics that implies happiness itself could be considered a mental illness. Happiness is statistically abnormal, consists of a discrete cluster of symptoms, is associated with a range of cognitive abnormalities, and most likely reflects the abnormal functioning of the central nervous system. My point being, First, mental health is not as black and white as some people would lead you to believe. And second, happiness should not be your goal. It's not a sustainable thing. You're going to have times when you're happy and times when you're unhappy. I have very fluctuating up and down moments of hyperactivity and then almost no activity, or different, just your goal should be a general, sustainable feeling of contentment or fulfillment. You should look into CBT, cock and ball torture. Just kidding. Cognitive behavior therapy is a type of psychotherapy. It's intended to help you change unhelpful or unwanted ways of thinking, feeling, or behaving. CBT uses practical self-help strategies. These are designed to improve your quality of life. CBT can be an effective way to treat depression and anxiety. The world that we live in will try and make you think that there's something wrong with you, and there totally is. Just kidding. You are not broken. Just existing is enough. You are deserving of love and affection. And above all else, it's going to be okay. You can find ways to cope short term and grow your awareness to heal negative thinking patterns long term. The only way out is through. And when you're struggling, just remember that it will get better.
And so Daniel realizes that truly he's been talking to himself this entire time. Tune in next week or next time to discover Limp Bizkit.
You see what I've done here? My coping mechanism was making this video. As always, whenever anything's bothering me, I take it and try to turn it into art. Highly recommend it. Hey, before you go, I would love to see how bad BetterHelp actually is. So if this video performs well, I'm going to use the ad revenue from this video to get BetterHelp for a week and see how helpful or not helpful it is. And just for clarity, when I said earlier that this video was sponsored by them, that was a joke. Yeah. But thank you so much for watching. Each like on this video equals... And I'll see you again soon for more spooky hijinks, because what could be scarier than real-world mental health?